So once again, we're going to start off in SketchUp showing you what I'm building. This time the color for this video is kind of this ugly olive green, which is supposed to be a plywood color in SketchUp. So you can see we're making the base, the legs, and the partitions for the vanity. Now, I make the partitions a little bit differently, and like I said, I'll update these plans when it comes time to put them online. So right now they're kind of the original plans. You can see how the leg's going to have a very big tenon connecting them to the base. So for this I ordered 3-inch lumber from Rockler. Most of it was pretty nice, but some of it was crooked, which I guess is going to be the norm going forward with this poor quality of materials. There was really nothing I could do about it. So what I started with was I cut these all down to size. Since these go into the cabinet, they're actually quite long. I think these were about 9 3/4 inches because you're going to lose 2.5 into the base. So I went through and marked all of these because I'm going to have to turn them on the lathe. This is the example of one of the crooked ones. I've ordered these from Rockler before because they're one of the cheaper options for this thicker lumber, and I don't like to laminate stuff like this. And I was surprised by how unsquare some of them were. So you can see this is going to be the 2.5 inches that's going to be buried into the base. And then the design of the legs is there's a square, so I'm not going to be turning that. I'm going to be leaving that square, which is 1.25 inches. And then I just drew up the legs. Now, like I said, I'm working off of a photo, so this was a very simple design. There was a little bit of a bead underneath this square edge, and then a concave, almost cove-like shape, and then it just tapers to the bottom. That was all it is. Very simple. I will fully admit I'm not the best lathe turner. I don't have a ton of time turning, but I can get simple things like this done. So to start, I'm just going to go through and use parting tool to make my initial cut at the base of that square part, just to separate the part that's going to be roughed out versus the part I'm keeping square. And then I just have a roughing gouge, and I'm going to start turning this bottom part into a circle. Now with the width of these legs, I really wasn't removing a lot of material. You can see I'm using calipers to get the exact width, but I'm not really taking a lot of it down. I needed them to be as thick as possible. And then I'm just going to take the bottom part of the leg all the way down to final measurement. So I have 2 sets of calipers with 2 different sizes, and you can see that bottom width. So after that, it wasn't really in the shot, but I have that cordboard pattern, and I marked where the 2 ends of the cove will be. I created the cove, and then all I did was took that roughing gouge, and from the top edge of the cove, I just tapered the piece down to the measurement I already set at the base. So that's all this is. Like I said, I'm not the world's best turner. I'm not going to give instructional videos about it. This is how I did it, and it was simple enough that I could get it done. At the end, I'll clean up that cove, and the top part is just a little round over bead, so that's what I did up top. And then there is basically the finished leg. I had one already sitting there, and I'm just going and comparing the 2 sides. And that is pretty much it. And I obviously had to make 8 of these. You can see there are some flat spots on the cove because, like I said, I wasn't taking off a bunch of material off of these. So that's already the set of 4. You kind of date these videos by which laser I'm testing in the background of all of them as well. And then I have these set up on the base. So what I'm doing is there's a 3/8 inch overlap around this whole piece. So I had a 3/8 inch piece of key stock, which I'm using to get that set back from the side of the frame. So once that's set in place, I could come to the top. You can see that key stock is flush, so I have the right setback on it, and I can mark inside. So this part is going to be the tenon. The rest of the material is going to be removed. Now the crooked legs, I cheated to the back of the table because you could see they're just not going to be square because the legs aren't square. So what I did was the parts that are off square are on the back side of the vanity, so if they aren't perfect, you won't really be able to tell. So you can see I'm squaring up this one side, the back's not square, and I'm just going to have to work with it the way it is. But once that base is off, and I obviously have all of these numbered, you can see I'm left with the marks of what I'm keeping and what I'm getting rid of. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut through the bottom, and two of these sides are essentially the same because the offset is 3/8 of an inch. If these aren't perfect, it's not that big of a deal because I have so much material of the tenon. So this is an example of the one that isn't square, so you can see I'm obviously not removing the same amount of material because it tapers off. So I'll play around with that on the table saw. But in general, I think there was only one piece that was really messed up, and I cut it into thirds, so there's 3 legs that have that issue. But in general, I could set up a stop and just cut the 2 sides of all of these, and that's essentially what I did to get the proper depth on all of these. You can see in the camera that it followed my line perfectly. They're all the same depth, and I did that on all 8 legs. So then it's going to come time to cut this other side, which is a little bit thicker. It's going to be the exact same process. I just had to raise the blade. It's still the same distance off, so I didn't change the fence or anything like that, and I can make that 3rd cut on all of these legs. Now the ones that are a little off, I cut this way as well, because as you'll see, if the 1/8 of an inch difference in the tenon won't really matter for this build, because not only do you not see them, but they're already pretty structural as it is. To remove the rest of this, I'm using a tenoning jig, and this is, someone gave me this jig and I've started using it as my primary jig. It works quite well. Same process, I'm just lining it up to my pencil marks, and I'm going to cut through the whole piece. This blade is not the best quality blade. I need to change it out, and I haven't done it yet, but that's why there's quite a lot of smoking. But I'm also cutting 2.5 inches into red oak, which usually puts a little bit of stress on the machine regardless. So I'm going to go through and just cut off all those pieces, and that will be the first big side cut. So pretty much repeating through the piece, and then the smaller side is going to come off as well. I could just adjust the tenon to line up to my pencil marks and then send this through. Now this is where the problem with the skewed edges will come into play. So you'll see as I push this towards the blade, I could tell that it's not lined up with my mark. So I just made incremental adjustments with the tenoning jig until it was perfect. And that was just this one side that was really off on a couple of these. So you can see I'm making the adjustments as I get towards the blade. I could eye it up and then just send it through. So pretty easy stuff with a tenoning jig like this to make those adjustments. The last piece, the offset was so big I couldn't use the jig, but since I already had that curve cut at the bottom, and this is oak, so it cuts pretty nicely, I could just put a chisel cut on top and send this down, and it lobs off that last piece, because as it hits the kerf, it makes a nice clean cut, and then I could just clean it up with a chisel. So that's how I went about not being able to cut this last tenon. So some of these won't be perfect, but like I said, I could clean them up with a chisel and get them fairly square doing it this way. And then there are all of my legs with the tenon. You can see the ones that were a little crooked, the kerfs on the bottom go a little bit deeper in parts, but you can also see why I said that a little 1/8 inch deeper or not as deep on the bottom will not matter for the structure of this piece. You won't see it, and the tenon is already so thick that that little extra kerf does not affect it at all. And there it is in place. So all of them are in place like that. It comes to the top. This will hold up the entire base. Now I don't glue these in till much later because they raised the whole piece up by a little over 6 inches, so it was easier to work on them without the legs in place. So you won't see those glued up till a little bit later. So then on the SketchUp model, I'm going to be making these shelves, and I wanted them to be perfectly spaced. And in SketchUp, they're going to give me fractions of an inch. So I kind of tweaked those a little bit because with my tape measure it only goes to a 1/16 of an inch. So usually you're going to be working with 30 seconds, so it's going to be in between the 1/16 of an inch marks. And I just got all of those lined up. There's quite a large facade top on this, so that won't account for it. But you could see I have the marks for where I'm going to be putting the dados to attach the shelves. So I just wanted these to be the exact same dimensions, so when it came time to make my drawer boxes, they're all the same, and then the fronts will kind of work out where they overlay that front a little bit. So that is how I laid all that out, and the exact measurements will be in the plans when I get around to them. So then for these, at this point, like I said, I wish I would have made these inner parts out of 1/2 inch ply just so the piece was a little bit lighter. So what I did for this is, even though I'm doing a through dado, I'm only going to be putting about 3 inches of material of shelf in the front and the back, so it's not as heavy. But it didn't really matter to do stop dados for this. You'll never see it. The thickness of the plywood's already pretty severe, so cutting out that little bit will not affect it. But this is basically all I'm doing. These are this exact same placement for all of my partitions, so I can line up the first cut, send all of them through, line up the second cut, send all of them through, and then they're going to be exact at that point. That's the second cut as well. I go about halfway through, and there's the stack with all of the partitions cut. And then I could put all of this back into place. So once this was back into place, I measured and cut for the bases. This is pretty simple stuff. Like I said, I designed it so that the bases would sit on those cleats I have holding the verticals. I believe these were about 9 inches wide by the depth of the cabinet. I cut all of them, and I cut these so that when I glue this together, the base in place helps to square up these top parts. So that was just a matter of measuring, cutting those pieces. There's my stack ready to go, and I could glue all of this stuff together at this point. So there's glue inside the middle partition of all of these cleats, and then I could just slide my verticals into place. This was easier to do on the ground, obviously, because I'm showing you that. So I'm putting this in the ground, and then once it's done, I can lift it up and put it back on the table. I could glue all of the bases in place at this point as well, and then this becomes pretty solid. And once again, no hardware or anything at this point. So there's the base into place. Now these are not going to be perfectly square. These are square where the partition meets the base, but up top obviously they're going to be a little off square. So the nice thing about construction like this is it pretty much squares itself up. So this base I already checked, and it squared up the bottom there. The top, like I said, it was going to get squared up when I add the top facade. And then you could see the shelf partitions for this are not full pieces of ply. They're only about 3 inches. So I'm just putting those in the front because I'm using undermount slides for this, so I need coverage on the front and the back. I just find it's easier to mount them that way. And then that's basically what it looks like. I'm making sure my box openings are all square. Like I said, it's so much easier, especially when I'm going to be making six drawer boxes for each one, so 12 total if I can make them all the same size. So I have everything clamped before it fully starts to dry. I could go through and check for square, and then next video will be working on the top.